Hello
Ready when you are.
everyone, Joe here, and today I have a very close friend of mine who just did very well at the Remoto Regional, so why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you did.
Yeah, my name is Matteo Guidolin. I also go by Graph. I played voiceless branded, and yeah, I think the deck performed really, really well. Obviously, I only lost to Murdozbek, a good buddy of mine, eventual winner of the tournament as well. So really, really happy with how the deck performed, and I think this is very close to being fully optimized. It's very close to the Steven Stantoli list that came out. I helped with, or well, he sort of helped me with ironing out side deck ratios and a couple of the changes I wanted to make, and I think they are pretty important changes. So I guess I'll get into it. Main deck. I mean, I'm not going to explain the standard stuff too much, but these cards are just broken. Diviner's the best card in the deck in almost all game states. Saphira, obviously, mandatory 3 of the first contentious ratio, 3 Skull Guardian, 1 Seravis. I'm a really big fan of this ratio. The main thought process being we're in a format that has 18 hand traps as a relative standard, so it's a little bit more important to have this hard opened in your hand instead of having to search it. And Seravis only lets you play around the 6 targeting hand traps. I mean, technically 9 if you're on Mourner as well. While hard drawing the Skull Guardian can basically let you play through any hand trap in the game. So I think it's an important distinction. This also helps you in grind game. Almost never resolving 2 of this card, while you want to have access to 3 of this in a lot of the situations. Having access to 3 won me, I want to say 3 games over the course of the tournament, so was definitely important. And then last engine monster is 1 Seravis. I mean, card's just really strong, but I would not want to play multiple copies. We get to the real MVP of the tournament. Albaz is so good. Brand of Fusion is just the best card in your deck at almost all the time. It locks you out of some semi-relevant things, but Mirror Jade is super, super strong right now. The board wipe effect, even against the fire decks, feels really good. And it's just a very solid interaction point. Banishing Flamberge, banishing just a lot of random stuff is really nice. Especially in the mirror, just banishing the low, banishing the Skull Guardian is great. And worst case scenario, it is at least an extender. It sends you Saphira, it sends you Skull Guardian, so you can Saphira add it back from grave under draw. All that kind of stuff is really nice. It sends Trius if they imprime your Diviner. It just forces them to have more hand traps, and there's no guarantee your hand wasn't already playing, in which case this gets you your light monster for ritual fodder. It just does everything. 3 barrier, 2 prayer, 1 radiance, standard ratio. Not going to go over it too much. Having the second ritual spell is important. I was semi-tempted initially to play 3 of the ritual spell, but I ended up deciding against it, and I'm glad I did. Pre-prep. I've seen people shave this down. I don't agree. This card is obscenely strong. Even the second activation or the third activation of it is still strong because you are shuffling back and cycling your ritual spells, so being able to hard ritual without using Saphira is really nice, especially the more people get onto Bestials, which are becoming more popular now. So this card's really important. And then the 2 Prosperity. The 2 Prosperity are the 41st and 41st and 42nd card. Similar to the Santoli list, they're here for side decking ratios and additional consistency. Card's good, but it's a little bit more awkward with the branded package, but it still does what it's here to do. And then for hand traps, I'm on the, in my opinion, best 12 in the format. The only thing I guess I'll bring up is the use for Ash Blossom in this deck, especially if it's your only hand trap against fire, is use it on the first thing you get your hands on. I don't care if it's Bonfire, I don't care if it's Snake Eyes Ash, I don't care if it's Poplar. Unless it's Poster. Poster's the only one I would maybe debate on, but you Ash the first thing you get your hands on. If they're starting Bonfire, their hand is likely not super strong. And if they're starting Snake Eyes Ash, what else are you going to Ash? Any Ash later than that on the Snake Eyes Ash is guaranteed to let them still play. So that's a small thing that I've seen people do that I'm not really a fan of, is like holding that for like OSS, but then they're guaranteed to still play. Heading into the extra, 1 Anima, 1 Dynamondo, 1 IP, 1 SP. These are all pretty normal. I think people really like 2 Dynamondo. I think people are a little too excited to go into this card for some reason. I see people just link into this all the time because they want the extra trap interaction. And if it's your only interaction is engine, then yeah, sure, go for it. But this loses to so many different cards. It loses to Valor, Imperm, Bell, Crow, Even Mourner it loses to, right, which does not feel good. There's just such a wide variety of top decks, or even cards they could have already had. Like a lot of the time, Valor Imperm are just dead against this deck, so it's just not something that I would go into. And then for IP targets, I'm on 1 Underworld, 1 Apollosa. There's a couple different changes in this list in general since I played the event, just since I have been playing it a lot more, and I've made a couple of the changes. This is one of them. I just didn't have it for the event, so I did play second Dynamondo. It never came up. So Underworld Goddess is a good change. It's really nice in the mirror off of IP. It's really nice into just a lot of matchups like Pearly and Raid Raptor that are becoming a little bit more popular. And then for the branded engine, 2 Albion, 1 Lubellion, and 2 Mirror Jades. This is basically just enough to activate the engine twice, and that's really all you want it to be doing. I was considering Sanctifier specifically as an additional card to play, mainly because it's very good into the fireboard. It can't be targeted by Promethean, and it also just punches the Apollosa while they aren't really able to remove it from the field because they can't SP it. They can Underworld Goddess it, but a lot of them aren't on that card, so definitely a consideration to look into, but there's some spots that you could shave. Like, you could shave the Goddess for that, and I'm going to be trying that, but haven't tested it enough to say it's great yet. 2 Diviner Sends. I mean, Diviner's the best card in your deck. You would need to play good cards for it. And then the 1 Chaos Angel and the 1 Typhon. Didn't go into these too much over the course of the event, but they were really important pieces to have access to. Went into Chaos Angel once and it won me a game, so the extra deck is not super valuable in this deck, so that's really all you want. You want cards that, when they come up, are winning you games or are gaining you a good amount of advantage and situational advantage like that. So that's the whole extra. And then the side, similar to the Santoli side, almost card for card, has the same theory behind it, where these 6 come in for the 4 Brand Diffusion cards and the 2 Prosperity against Fire when you're going second. You just want maximum copies of hand traps. And then going first, you side out these as well as potentially like your Veilers for the Brand Diffusions again, the Prosperities again, and the Summon Limits. That's one of the changes I did make, but I'll get to that in just a moment. The 3rd Prosperity for going first. There's just no better last card. You could make this a Duster if you really wanted to, but there's some cards in this side deck I do really want to see going first. And especially going second into certain matchups, you can see these, you can see these. Like, there's some good stuff to see for sure. Dark Ruler is really strong, especially in the mirror match. You need something for the mirror, because a lot of the hand traps are not great. You have Ogre, which is strong, but outside of that, Lightning Storm is okay for the mirror, but Dark Ruler is the really great card. You just always want to resolve this card in the mirror, and they don't really have a way to stop you. Trap Pop doesn't do much of anything in the mirror, especially when the Trap Pop is so important to hold for as long as possible, get as much value out of it as you can. And then the final 3, the last change from the Santoli list. Summon Limit, I prefer quite heavily. The Santoli list was on Strike, which I don't disagree with, but Summon Limit just says win the game on it in a lot of game states. And that's what you really want this format, especially heading into a regional, where you're heading into a bunch of random stuff. Just having a card that says win the game on it, or see the out, and an out to my negate, and an out to the rest of my board, all at the same time, is just really strong. So I prefer this over Strike. I would play this over Strike, especially in a regional context. Heading into a YCS, I'd have to rethink it, but especially for regional, these were the choice I'd continue to make.
All right, and were there any changes you would make moving forward? Anything that you really disliked at the tournament?
There were a couple things I was playing during the tournament that were just small things. I know people have told me about, especially the Sanctifiers. I know people have told me to play Bells. I'm not a fan of most of that stuff. Again, this list is already slightly different from what I played in the event, just because I wanted to showcase the best version possible, because I do believe these are the best changes you could make. The only one I'd consider still making is Sanctifier. There's also then potential of a XL Barone package that I've seen, but I just don't think this extra deck specifically has room for it. So I'd say this is about as optimal as at least the branded version gets. There's some obviously small things you could at least try to tweak with, but I'm really liking how it is right now.
All right, and before we head out, do you have any shoutouts?
Yeah, shout out to the people that helped me theory this and were supporting me. Shout out to Trevor, shout out to Richard, Andrew, and Brisden. These were the main people that helped me. And then obviously shout out to Santoli. I had Brisden, who's one of his buddies, helping me with a lot of the siding patterns for this deck. Just ironing those out is really important heading into a regional. Even though my matchups weren't exactly what I was expecting to play against, just knowing what your side outs are as options is always really important, especially when playing a deck like this where the siding pattern for fire is, I guess, less intuitive because you take out the best card in your deck, which is Brand Diffusion, but it just doesn't have as strong of a matchup into fire. So big shout outs to all of them, but yeah, that's about it.
All right, thank you so much for sharing. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.